Hello, everyone. So, unfortunately, I couldn't really write the book on this issue in terms of people with mental health crises when they go to their doctor, or even just that some of them even can't even get into the doctor. When they go, even just take for example, go into the doctor will force them to the accident emergency. Take for example, in Cavan, it happened to me back a few years ago, 5 years ago, when I was in first year in school. Because again, there's no way to send people who are struggling from their mental health, particularly young people. They send you into the A&E and you wait in A&E. And unfortunately, you take up a bed. Again, these people shouldn't be taking up beds in A&E and accident emergency or in wards in hospitals. There should be a special place for people who, particularly young people who experience mental health, suicidal thoughts, etc., etc. They shouldn't be on only wards in the hospital. That's what I'm trying to say. And as we see in Cavan, there was 217. This is in 2023. But take for example, there 217 could have been taken up beds in accident emergency that were needed for people who, take for example, in car accidents, fell down stairs, etc. But what I'm trying to say is there should be a place, a special area of the hospital where people can go in and get seen to, instead of waiting on chairs, waiting for hours. And again, particularly young people, it's sad to see, because again, I was one of them. But this tells you really everything. A National Survey conducted by the Mental Health Services showed 51,000 people annually turn up to the pretty much the accident emergencies, or were sent in by the general practitioner, the doctor, by the GP. And the majority of them are 15 to 18, and there's a serious thing, because pretty much there's not much care in that. Pretty much the doctor just fucks you off to accident emergency, let you deal with them. Pretty much, that's what's happening. Pretty much, and it's a sad thing to see, because there's no place, there's no special unit, take for example in Cavan General or in any other hospital in the country, where a young person can turn up and say, I need help, I'm going to commit suicide, or whatever the story is, or God forbid, in a very traumatic, incident or whatever the story may be. But there's nothing. There's nothing, simply nothing, and that's an unfortunate thing, because again, they're sitting on wards. I was the same. Again, I could write a book on this, unfortunately, and it's an unfortunate thing. But again, only for you live through this, and I feel very passionate about this, because I know myself. I was sitting in an accident emergency back 5 or 6 years ago for a long time, for 3 or 4 hours, and I was put onto a ward, like an ordinary ward in the hospital, with other people that were very, very sick, very ill people, who, take for example, could have fell down the stairs, could have gone into an accident, could have a stomach issue, could have just after having an operation. And I was experiencing huge mental health issues and stuff like that. I probably shouldn't have been in that ward, because I'm taking a bed off for somebody else. But there should be a special place for people who experience them traumatic experiences, mental health struggles, particularly young people. There's nothing for them, as simple as that. That's the sad reality. Nothing has changed. I tell it, 6 years on, nothing has changed, and still nothing would be changed in another 6 years. And again, there's not much care. And I don't blame the nurses, don't get me wrong. I don't blame the nurses, the doctors, and the GPs too. I don't blame them. The people who I blame is the people sitting in Dáil and one useless woman that sits in Dáil and Fianna Fáil, Mary Butler, the Minister for Mental Health. Nothing has changed. What's the story here? Because again, they're all going to A&E, but the hospitals are already under huge pressure, as it is with people going into them already, and then putting more pressure on them. The A&E departments particularly is insane. It's not right. But again, nothing has changed. What I propose we do is, we have a special unit in each hospital in the country, and people can go in. It's open 24/7. People can go in, and there's rooms, the special rooms, etc., etc. designed. Obviously, it would cost a lot of money, etc., etc. to do it, but it'd be safe with a lot of hassle and hitches. The accident emergency units, and there would be a bit more comfort and a bit more, a bit more understanding, a bit more, what was the word used, a bit more care. Because at the moment in time, it's like cargo. They're just shipping you from one place to the other. The GP sends you to the A&E. The A&E department's giving you a bed in the ward, and you're pretty much just left there for a long time. Because again, there's no mental health beds. That's what I'm trying to say. There's no mental health beds at all. I could write the book. Unfortunately, I could write the book on it. It's such a sad thing to say, but it is the truth. Because I worked through it all. I know about this. I experienced this. I know myself. And I can understand everything. And I don't blame the people working in the hospitals. They're doing their best. The people who's responsible for this, because again, the doctors and nurses are doing their best. They're working hard. They're doing their best with what they have. It's the people sitting at the top, Mary Butler, hundreds of thousands a year. Other people in the HSE, hundreds of thousands a year. Not a care in the world. But again, something has to change. But there should be, because again, particularly as I say, we don't have the figures from last year, but 51,000 annually Where was that? 51,000 annually turning up to hospital. That's just across the country. That's what they're saying, roughly, give or take. But it's a huge amount. And again, if you think about it, Cavan is not that bad compared to other probably areas. But it's insane. It's putting a lot of pressure on A&Es. And the only way to do it is to try and do it like that way, as I say. If it was a reasonable country, would we be doing something like that? Like a unit that's able to do this, specialises in this, instead of putting them into accident emergency, putting them on wards. It's a rotten country, to be told. It's a rotten country. We have a long way to go in terms of this. But again, the government don't seem to care. They just simply couldn't give a shit. It's a sad thing to say, but it is the truth, and these are the future. Again, the majority of people who went in were 15 to 18. And it's a sorry state of the country when we see us, such young people who have the whole life ahead of them, could be anything, could achieve anything. And it's a sad state of affairs that they're left in wards in the hospital, pretty much left there for a few days, and then somebody might deal with them and give them tablets or stuff like that and then send them home. Because that's what's happening in a lot of cases. Because there's no one to look after them, there's nobody to care for them. It's such a sad state of affairs. It's evil, if you ask me, what the government has done. And what they're doing, still to this day, still as we sit here now, there's people probably in Cavan General, a young person at 17, waiting, God knows, could be all day. Could be this is from this morning. Now we're going this at 6 o'clock in the evening. They could have been there since this morning, still sitting in a chair waiting for somebody to talk to them, or even just somebody to talk to them. It's crazy stuff, and it's you really often wonder to yourself, I don't know what to say about it. To be totally honest. Are we a first world country? What is the story in this country? Because we simply do not care. We simply do not care about people in this country, unfortunately. And unfortunately, the thing is, the government really sees it as just a number, but people are numbers. Because there's always a human side. Again, I think in society too, we don't look at the human side of it, we look at the number. And we have to stop it. The government just don't care. There's no point saying they just look at the number. They just simply don't care. They don't really care to even look at anything. But anyway, let me know what you think. I know a lot of people probably experience this, as I say. It's such a sad thing, and I really wish, hopefully someday, please God, something to change somewhere. Some small change is better than no change. But again, nothing has changed since 6 years ago. There's nothing's going to change in the next 6 years, unfortunately. And it's a sad thing to say. I wish there was change. I'm sure the majority of people would agree, because we're paying our taxes. It should be going to good use, but it doesn't. It's a sad thing to say. Thank you.